Beyond dualities. Descartes placed dualism at the centre of philosophical thinking: mind and matter, body and soul, I and other. When we remove this dualistic sign and signifier, name and form, what are we left with? In this presentation, I seek to show how Magritte's art provides the setting and space for us to experience a greater reality beyond what we conventionally perceive it to be. Referencing the Treachery of Images painting and others, I explore the conventions of a rationalistic binary mode of seeing and how we can use Magritte's work to transcend this. To quote Magritte, "We are surrounded by curtains. We only perceive the world behind a curtain of semblance. At the same time, an object needs to be covered in order to be recognized at all." The presentation includes two pieces of video art, both inspired by Magritte. The first video is called Midnight Marriage and is a reverie, contemplation of sorts on Magritte and his art whilst on a train ride to and from the Magritte Museum in Brussels. The final stop is where Magritte is buried.
Ja, oké, dit probeer. In de trein.
Ja. C'est vrai que ça fait longtemps. Je fais des tours, mais c'est vrai que je fais ça, ça vient.
Magritte's paintings and titles amuse, bemuse, and confuse us. Not only is there the visual aspect to his work, but also the literal and literary. Magritte was fascinated by the interaction of textual and visual signs, both as a creative in the advertising industry and as an artist outside of that. Some of his most recognised paintings from the 1920s and 1930s employ both words and images. The Treachery of Images painting looks as polished as a magazine advert from the past. Here we see a representation of a pipe. The word pipe, a single syllable sound, we agree on its meaning. The word and the image correspond with each other. But the word itself has no inherent meaning. As the linguist Ferdinand de Saussure pointed out, the bond between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary. Words have meaning only relative to the people who conceive of them and define them. It is a matter of convention based on where you are and which language you speak. When we see the text here beneath the image, our brains need more time to process the information outside of the schematic we are used to. And it is the word not in the Treachery of Images painting that throws us. This is not a pipe, which throws up the paradox because it is clearly a painted resemblance of a pipe. To an extent, Magritte is playing with us in the same way that advertisers do, and he knew this only too well. Playing with our perceptions, forcing us to question, playing the image and the text over and over in our mind's eye. When asked about this painting during an interview on Belgian TV in 1966, Magritte answered, "It's obvious. Obvious that the image of a pipe is not a pipe. Perhaps it seems simplistic, but still, it does shock people who don't think about the obvious." When asked about the public's reaction to this and the Key to Dreams painting, Magritte responded, "Well, as usual, the public's reactions were mockery or misunderstanding or rage." Magritte's art and writing questions systems of meaning, to not simply accept the everyday averageness of life, as the philosopher Martin Heidegger would put it. This everyday mode of being tends towards the average, a sort of levelling down of the best and truest possibilities of Dasein, or being as it is translated to with a capital B. It is this common world of experience which we automatically participate in and take for granted, and in some ways provides the illusion that all is well, when in actuality something is not quite right, an underlying unease. Magritte invites us to question the everyday, to not accept things for what they are just because it is the habit and the norm to do so. He is helping us enter the world of philosophical questioning and poetry, and in so doing, creating a sort of Heideggerian anxiety as we grapple with the existential question of meaning. And it may be that there are many people out there who do not come to that sense of unease that can be experienced in the artworks. Maybe it just stays at the amusement, the bemusement and confusion. But if we take the work further, then we start to get a deeper, more profound meaning that is coming through from Magritte's art. Seeing comes before words. As children, we see before we speak. Then we have the alphabet of words and simple corresponding images, and we start the link the two together. A, apple, B, ball, C, cat, P, pipe. British art critic John Berger's seminal book, Ways of Seeing, has Magritte's The Key to Dreams on the front cover and the following text. "The child looks and recognises before it can speak. But there is also another sense in which seeing comes before words. It is seeing which establishes our place in the surrounding world. We experience that world with words, but words can never undo the fact that we are surrounded by it. The relation between what we see and what we know is never settled. Each evening we see the sun set. We know the earth is turning away from it, yet the knowledge, the explanation never quite fits the sight. Again, taking for granted that received meaning through the convention of society, the world that we live in, that the sun rises and it sets. Magritte understood the power of word and image and the juxtaposition of the two, and that the word lends us a sense of security until, as in the Treachery of Images painting and the Key to Dreams, it completely throws us off guard. Magritte read widely in philosophy and listed among his favourite authors Hegel, Heidegger, Sartre and Foucault. As well as being an avid painter and writer, he wrote, photographed and made short films. And although Magritte is most known for his paintings, he is in many ways a polymath. The people he regularly socialised with were poets, whom he often consulted when determining the titles for his paintings, most of which came from his close friend, the poet Louis Scoutenaire. And in the Brussels Museum, it's wonderful to see the short videos, the writings, and I think even compositions of music that Magritte has created. And in the short videos, you see the fun and humour that he had with his friends, the poets and writers. The next painting here is the Alphabet of Revelations. This is from 1929, the same year as the Treachery of Images. What I like about the left side of the Alphabet of Revelations is the mystery evoked by the intangible form emerging out of the darkness. There is nothing to recognise, no name to give it. It is already hinting at something beyond the juxtaposition of mind and matter, body and soul, name and form. For me, the left side is almost like the primitive mind-brain, and the right as more articulated mind-brain, both nevertheless sharing the same blank black space in the background. So the right side is cut out paper superimposed on the blackness, and we have there the silhouette image of a pipe, a key, a leaf, and an old-fashioned wine glass. The pale paper is torn at the bottom, and there's something fragile about it, exposing the black of the blackboard, an emptiness behind the forms and the names that are elicited. This is not the only painting of Magritte's which emerges out of some kind of black, vast emptiness. Either in Magritte's paintings there is a void in the background, or there are curtains revealing another reality, or drawing our attention to the fact that this is a performance or an act on stage, where each must play his part, that none of this is real. In Vedantic and Buddhist philosophy, there is often reference to the world being illusion, covered by the curtains of Maya, curtains in the way of what lies behind what we call reality, or curtains that create some error in our cognition. As Magritte puts it, we see the world as being outside ourselves, although it is only a mental representation of it that we experience inside ourselves. What Magritte is saying here might sound obvious, but for many, they do believe that the sky is blue or that the grass is green, that there is an external reality, not realising that through looking at the sky, we are bluing it, we are greening the grass. It is our nervous system and the rods and cones in our eyes that present the world as it is. It is not blue out there independent of us. It is part and parcel of us, as Heidegger put it, being in the world. So I think this statement of Magritte's is quite profound in that sense. It is assumed that reality is out there for all to observe, unlike someone's consciousness, which is internal and difficult to empirically see. And maybe that's one of the very key aspects of surrealism and the insight it offers. I think maybe the left side of the alphabet of revelations is the most rudimentary form of consciousness, one where there is no duality, an undifferentiated space out of which all relevant forms emerge. And behind this, a void, a silence, or as Magritte would refer to it, a mystery. The gap between words and seeing is the silence, but it is also the space for philosophical and contemplative inquiry. Magritte's art can be the space for a shift in consciousness, a deepening of meaning for oneself, after being thrown into confusion or unease about what is there before our eyes. Magritte amuses, bemuses, confuses, and unsettles us. Narrative is a key part of making meaning. Even when alone in silence, it is embedded in the construct of our reality. But to carve out the time and space to contemplate further can take us beyond the illusions of Maya, the curtains of illusion, so often depicted in Magritte's paintings. And going beyond can open up new ways of thinking and experiencing. And I believe the contemplation can be taken yet further if we move into the kind of meditative zone, where there is a space that we can come to which does transcend language. Instead of the binary of inquirer and subject, which marks empirical methodology, contemplative inquiry, and meditation in particular, can lead to a dissolving of categories and distinctions, leading us to a vast openness that is the wonder and mystery of life, a wonder and mystery that Magritte invites us to enter through his paintings, where if we take it further, we can go beyond dualities through questioning meaning and maybe through some form of existential angst. The black void of the alphabet of revelations also surrounds The Liberator, a painting Magritte completed many years later, post-World War II, in 1947. The Liberator, as with the alphabet of revelations, contains the torn sheet of paper which covers the face and trunk of the seated man and is made up of the silhouette of 4 objects. Here the bird is replacing the leaf. The Liberator, for me, as I delve further into the painting, highlights the transience of life, that there is something further beyond our bodies and our minds. We are more than the physical form and baggage we carry, including the illusory empty symbols that suggest enjoyment and freedom in this life. A glass of wine, a smoke, the key to a home, the enjoyment of nature. The very background of this painting is the space of the void, as is the emptiness behind the cut-out shapes. The appearance of these images is illusory, as much as the appearance of the man and the landscape is illusory. Magritte was a visual poet, and not only did he want to evoke the mysterious, he wanted to disturb us, take us out of our comfort zones. Roger Rothman, in his essay Against Sincerity, René Magritte, Paul Nouchet, and the Lesson of Paul Valéry, writes, "Terror was the word Magritte used to describe the moment in which he first recognised the poetry and mystery of the visual world. It was the word that signified the experience of the moment when language unexpectedly pierces the surface of reality, the moment when the artifice and conventions of speech and writing suddenly intersect with the world outside language, and in brackets, the real world as we typically refer to it. And I think this terror, along with the mystery, is very similar to Aldous Huxley's experience in The Doors of Perception, although that was mescaline-induced. It's that sharpening of reality to the extent that the moment pierces the surface of reality. So I see a bit of a similarity there, although Magritte's doesn't appear to be drug-induced. So Magritte thrusts us into a philosophical doorway, one with a hole already cut out, where we question who we are, rather than what we are in relation to the world and others. And it is not just a mystery that is evoked, but an unsettling, at times jarring sense of what is this? What is this all about? Who am I? What is my place in the world? The final video is a meditative heterotopia inspired by Magritte, the alphabet of revelations. A. Violin. B. Zebra. C. Dog. D. House. E. Snowman. F. Hammer. G. Tree. H. Yellow. I. Key. J. I. K. Woman. L. Umbrella. M. Nest. N. Rain. O. Queen. P. Ice cream. Q. Apple. R. Guitar. S. Lemon. T. Owl. U. Cat. V. Xylophone. W. Pear. X. Forest. Y. Mouse. Z. Boat.